So you don't know whether to bulk or cut if you feel like you're in a skinny fat position right now, where you don't feel like you're that fat, but you also feel too skinny to just do a cut. So maybe you're alternating between sometimes bulking for a few months, feeling too fat, and then sometimes cutting for a few months, feeling too skinny, and you're just stuck in this weird ground where nothing is changing. I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it, because I've been there and stayed stuck there for a long time, and I've helped tons and tons of guys get out of this too. So here's exactly what you need to do. I'm going to move over to my whiteboard, my iPad, and show you exactly how to get unstuck from this situation, because you're probably fucking pissed off right now. You're probably overwhelmed. You probably heard a million different ways to go and to approach this. I'm going to clear it all up for you. This is the only video you're going to need, so let's get into it. So, bulk or cut if you're skinny fat. All right, I'm going to get my pen out. I am on my iPad, so if it glitches or I fucking put my hand on the screen and it messes it up, do accept my apologies. So, basically, I've got two photos of myself here. Now, you could call this the bulk. That doesn't even look like I've said bulk at all, so let me get a new pen. So, bulk and cut. I think my got a little something making a bit of noise there. Right, bulk and cut. This is me doing both of those things. Now, here's the truth, guys, and it's not a very comfortable truth. You shouldn't do either of these things, okay? So I'm actually going to X them out, just like this, because you need to know the bulking cutting is probably why you're here in this skinny fat position, or at least why you feel stuck in this position. So you might not have been skinny fat before, maybe you were, but you probably ended up here by following some bad social media advice to bulk or to cut. So what you need to know is that the problem with bulking is, I'm going to draw this out for you to make it as digestible as possible. So with calories, if you imagine that this red line, that's a terrible line. I want a ruler, but I don't want to get I think I can get a ruler out. Would you look at that? That is awesome. All right. So that is so satisfying. All right, let's get rid of that ruler. So what I want you to imagine is that this is your maintenance calories. Now, all maintenance calories means it's just the amount of calories that you would need to eat for your weight not to go up, okay, or not to go down. So neither of those things would happen if you ate at maintenance. Everyone has a calorie maintenance. It's different for everyone, and it depends on your activity, even day to day. So it varies a lot. Now, here's the problem. When you go ahead and bulk, what you're doing is putting your calories extremely high above your maintenance. So maybe you're eating at this level for the bulk. Now, let's just throw some numbers in here for a bit of a reference point. So let's say your maintenance, the most average man's maintenance is 2,500 calories. A lot of people on social media and online are suggesting that you bulk at, say, based on that 2,500, let's say like 3.2k calories or more. Even 500 calories above your maintenance at 3,000 is pushing it, okay? Because here's the thing. Let's just get rid of that. Essentially, you will gain weight very quickly. So what you need to know is that if you do start eating a lot more calories than your maintenance, your weight responds accordingly. Why? Because all of this extra energy in the form of calories that you're eating will be put on your body as muscle or fat. Because the truth is that to build muscle, your body doesn't need that much extra energy or that many extra calories. And so to kind of illustrate what I mean, let's say that maybe that much above your maintenance is what would actually go towards muscle building, and the rest is just going to be stored as fat. Real. Like, that's the truth. Okay? Because guess what? Why do you think that a lot of really obese people who start lifting for the first time in a calorie deficit, which means food down here, still build muscle? What does that tell us about building muscle? You don't even need to be in a calorie surplus, okay? Now, obviously, they're new to lifting, probably. They're also very overweight, so their body is going to work in their favor. But what it tells us is important. It tells us that you don't need to be eating significantly more food, if any extra food, to build muscle. Crazy, right? Because what that means for you as someone who is probably a year or two into the gym, maybe a little bit longer, is you're still new enough to where you have something we call newbie gains. And the thing about newbie gains is that's your body's reaction to you being new to exercise. So the thing about newbie gains is that you will gain muscle faster than you ever will again. Very fast. And your body's freaking out, doesn't know what's going on. So it builds muscle. And you don't, like when you first started going to the gym, you probably built a load of muscle and you weren't even thinking about the food. It just happened. That's your body adapting. Again, also telling us that you don't strictly need to necessarily be in a calorie surplus to do that, right? So the thing is, that basically means that the bulk is pointless. But it also means that by trying to bulk, sure, you will gain some muscle, okay? You will gain muscle to this degree, right? You might not even need to eat in the surplus at all. But more importantly, all of that is going to be stored as fat. So you very, very quickly end up looking a little bit like this. Now, this is what I would call skinny fat. This was me many months after deciding that I was going to commit to the bulk, and I just got fat. I felt really, really low in confidence on my body, had a belly that I never had before, I had a fat face. Like it just, like I started the gym to be more confident, and this felt like everything against what I wanted. I didn't want to become a bodybuilder. I didn't want to become bulky and big. I just wanted to look like a swimmer. Okay. So I would recommend that you avoid this bulking stuff at all costs. So don't bulk. Now, you may be thinking, hey, well, maybe I need to lose the fat then. Maybe I need to do a cut. And you'd be correct. Out of the two options that we have here, I would prefer you to do a cut. However, not in the way that you're probably expecting to do it based on what you see online. So the thing is, a cut is the opposite of a bulk. And what it looks like is essentially taking your calories down, again, very, very far under your maintenance. So this is the cutting calories. Now, the problem is that that is quite a big deficit that you'll often be told to go in. And it may look like, again, if your calories are at 2,500 for maintenance, it may look like I've seen people even go 700 calories under, so 1,800 calories. Again, in your case, because you get to that point on the bulk where you feel fat, you get stressed about it and you're like, shit, I need to cut. And so you probably push your food down quite far because you're freaking out and you're like, I hate this, I don't feel good in my body anymore. And then you pivot back to the cut and you probably cut your calories by something like this. Okay, maybe you should do a shitload of cardio because you're just so, like, you hate the fact that you've gained fat, right? And so what happens is that you do lose weight very quickly. It's the same logic as going on here, right? As goes on here. The problem is, again, it's the same shit. Because this is way too much of a drop in calories, you don't just lose the bit of fat, right? You also lose a shit ton of muscle. It's the exact same problem in reverse. Okay? Now, what's going to happen is, because this is a mind game, and this is the problem with bulking and cutting, and it's the problem with being skinny fat. You don't feel too skinny. Sorry, you don't feel like you're so skinny that you need to just bulk for months and months and months, but you don't feel like you're too fat that you need to cut for months and months and months. So you pick a route, you play it out, you hate where it leads, and then you do the other thing, and then you're just stuck in this yo-yo. And that is exactly what happens, okay? So you right now are stuck in a cycle of bulking and cutting, and it just keeps going around, and you basically look the same every year because you can't make up your mind, because you don't feel like either thing goes in the right direction, sorry. Now, here's the truth. This doesn't work. It doesn't. It works if you want to be a bodybuilder, but if you're watching and you're this far into the video, you should know what I stand for. I don't help people become bodybuilders because I'm not one. I don't want to look like one. And it's not a good look if we're being real. So I know you don't want to be. You probably want to look a little bit like this. Again, I'm not saying I have the best body in the world. I fucking don't, but I feel confident in it, and that's what matters. That's what matters, right? So this was actually not recent, but that was me after I did what I call a reset phase. And this is what I want to talk to you about. Your way that you're going to fix this skinny fat situation is you're going to do something called a reset phase. And you're probably like, Sam, what the fuck is a reset phase? Well, let me first show you the effect of it. These are all clients of ours that went through a reset phase. I even stuck myself in there because I did a fucking great job, just saying. But you can see that they basically get shredded. The skinny fat goes. It's just gone. There's no bulking and cutting and, oh no, bulking, I need to cut again. No, it just goes. We just get rid of the fat and then it's clear from there. So here's what it looks like. You need to establish your maintenance. That is so big. I don't need it that big. Right. So again, let's say your maintenance is at 2500 and this is how you do it properly. This is how you do it properly. So let's say that that's your maintenance. Now, to do a reset phase, you are obviously going to need to drop your calories because our primary goal here is to lose that skinny fat through and through. However, your calories are only going to drop down initially by about 250. So reset. Now you're probably thinking, Sam, but that's not a very big deficit. Like, am I even going to lose any fat? Yes. And here's why. Again, you're probably not like 5 years into the gym. And if you are, this can still work, but you're probably only a few years in. Your body still has a lot of muscle building potential. Okay. Now, essentially what this means is that a reset is kind of like a recomposition as well. So what that means is that you can simultaneously build muscle and lose fat at the same time. It's not out of the question. And because you're not that fat, despite how you may feel, that's really, really important. You have to take it slower, okay? You have to take this process slower, make the deficit smaller because you don't have that much fat to lose. And when you don't have that much fat to lose, it has to be a slower process because otherwise you'll lose muscle, you'll burn out, you'll get really hungry, and you'll revert to bulking. It has to move slower. So you're going to put your calories down here. And what this is going to mean is you will start to lose the fat. So you will start to lose fat, but the scale might not reflect it. It probably won't actually, because yes, a 250 calorie deficit isn't that much. It isn't, right? But here's the thing. You're going to be hanging on to all of the muscle that you do have, and you might even build some. So of course, that's kind of cancels out any weight change, really, because if you lose fat and build muscle, the scale stays the same and you're like, oh, it's not working. But then you look in the mirror at some photos and you realize you look leaner and you also look bigger. Ideal, right? So you will start to lose fat, but scale won't show. Move. All right, scale won't show. You'll probably stay strong. You will stay strong. Strong and build muscle. Maybe. It's not a guarantee. All right. You won't get that hungry. Okay. And you will actually get to 10 to 12% body fat. And 10 to 12% body fat looks like this. Right, I was 10 to 12% easily there. And here's the truth. You need to get down to this body fat percentage before you even think about going into any kind of calorie surplus to build muscle. So you have to take the process slower. Now, once you've, right, before I go on to that, actually, you are going to need to drop your calories lower than 250, or in this case, a 250 calorie deficit, of course. But you can do that through increasing your activity, so by doing more steps, and you can also do it by eating less food, of course, so less calories. You are going to have to drop that, but only as it gets closer to that body fat percentage goal, 10 to 12. But you have to go slow because you might very well lose fat on a very small calorie deficit. You might. And then you've saved the reductions for later when you actually need them because then the fat loss slows down. How are you going to track progress here? That sounded like I hadn't finished the sentence I had. So how are you going to track progress here? Okay. So what you need to do is take a lot of progress photos. So progress pics. And when I say progress photos, I mean same angle, same light. So same room, same outfit, same camera, same everything, same time of day, same weekday, consistency. Because like I said, the scale is not going to always reflect what's going on. So you're going to take a lot of progress photos, and just for reference, this is what they should look like. Okay, you can see our clients doing them here. All right, same place, same vibes, same everything. So progress photos, really important. The next thing is you are going to take your weight, but you're going to take daily weight. Same time of day, after the toilet, before you eat or drink anything. So just as soon as you wake up and after you've been to the toilet. Daily weight, but you're going to take a weekly average. And then you're going to see what the weekly average does each week. So ideally, you want to see it slowly drop. It might not happen if you build muscle at the same time. But then if it's not happening, you simply look at the photos and you think, and you say to yourself, do I look leaner? Do I look leaner? Can I see more definition? If so, great, you're losing fat. Who gives a fuck what the scale says? It doesn't matter. So many people are obsessed with goal weights and scale weights. And is the scale, it doesn't matter what the scale says. Get it out of your head. You're probably doing this to feel more confident in your body. So if I were you, I would look at the mirror and think, do I feel good about that? Does it look better than the last time I stood here? If so, great. Keep going, right? So these are going to be your two metrics, really. You can also take body measurements, and with our clients, we do. So take those weekly. Now, once you've got down to this level, right, you've lost the skinny fat. I can't say how long it will take you. It depends on your discipline, how accurately you're tracking your calories, which, by the way, you should very accurately. But to give you some reference, in perfect conditions, me going from this on the left to this on the right, 6 months. Okay, because I was quite fat here because I bulked, which was stupid. Okay. And to give you a bit of another reference point, here is our client Rob, who built a shit ton of strength and muscle in his reset phase. This took about 6 months too. So if you're anywhere from sort of 16 to 22% body fat, you're looking at least 6 months. If you're closer to like 13 to 15%, probably more like 3 or 4 months. So yeah, like our client here, he was maybe more like 15%, so it took him less time. So that's kind of the timeline you can expect. Now, that is absolutely how you fix the skinny fat situation. And by the way, I forgot to mention protein as well as your calorie goal here. A lot of people have questions about that. 1 gram per pound in body weight. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it. Just eat that every day. Doesn't matter. Oh, but you don't need that much protein. Who cares? Who gives a fuck? Oh no, we're going to give our body too much of what it needs to build muscle. Right? Like who actually cares? So yeah, you don't need that much, but guess what? The more protein you eat, the less hungry you're going to be. The more protein you eat, the higher the chance of you building some muscle. It's only a good thing. So just eat more. So 1 gram per pound is an easy number to remember. So if I'm 180 pounds, I'll eat 180 grams of protein every day. And it doesn't matter what changes through my reset phase, I will always eat that number. Carbs and fats can be whatever they want. So do this until you have got down to 10 to 12% body fat. And you will need to reduce your calories or increase your steps or add in cardio as you get leaner because your body needs more and more to keep burning fat. Make sense? Cool. Hopefully it does. Now, once you actually are down to that 10 to 12% body fat like this, and not through cutting, because we're just using a small deficit to get there so that you maintain your sanity and you actually get there without swinging back and forth between the two, then what you're going to do is slowly increase your calories by 100 a week. That's it. So in this example, I would then go, cool, I've got down to 10 to 12% body fat. Now I'm going to increase my calories to 20. Actually, sorry, that is not what I meant to do. Because what is going on here? My iPad is bugging out. What is it doing? I don't know. It's trying to do maths. So what I would actually do is, because you're at 2250, you would then increase to 2350. You would keep weighing yourself every day, keep taking photos, and then you would see after a week, what's my body done? If you've gained weight, stay at those calories for another week. It's that simple. If you haven't gained weight, up them by 100 and see what happens to your average weight again. You do this over and over again until you start consistently seeing your weight rise really slowly, really gradually, probably 0.25 pounds per week on average. Now, when you see that consistently rising each week, you stop increasing your calories and you stay at those calories. That's it. Nothing else changes. And then you are in what we call a build phase. So realistically, your build phase is probably going to be, based on this example, It's hard to say. It's just hypothetical. So let's say like 2650. Maybe that would be your build. Because at that point, you'd be increasing your calories, and then you'd say, hang on a minute, my weight has gone up tiny bit 2 weeks in a row. I'm going to stop increasing my calories. And don't be tempted to increase them more, because you've seen the weight consistently start to move up. Muscle gain is slow, so it indicates to us that that is muscle, not fat, right? And because you're taking photos every week, you will start to see that you're fuller. You'll start to see that, you actually have seen some muscle growth, okay? Because realistically, you're not going to gain much muscle at any faster rate than that. So anything above that 0.25, unless you're really new to this, it's probably going to be fat. So you want to make sure on those photos that you still look nice and lean, you still look shredded, but you look fuller. You feel stronger in the gym. These are all signs that you're at the correct level for your build phase. That is how you fix this. Like, that's it. It's not as complicated as people make it out to be, except on social media, because they're just trying to get your attention, to get views. It's just how it is. Now, this is a process that is quite demanding and draining mentally if you've never done it before, because you'll be constantly doubting yourself, getting overwhelmed and questioning if you're doing the right thing, probably scrolling on social media and listening to other people tell you different things and wondering if this is the right approach, and then getting in your head and spinning your wheels and just ending up stuck again. If that sounded anything like you, it's because I've been there. I've been doing this for 7 years, okay? Now, I actually didn't start skinny fat. I ended up skinny fat because of this advice, this bulking and cutting bullshit. So if you, sorry, my voice. So if you actually want to guarantee that you get there and you don't overthink it and you just have clarity, structure, you just know what you're doing, you have trust and faith in your plan, then what you can do is click the button below and book in a call to talk with me or one of my team, and we'll build this out exactly how it could work for you to get rid of the skinny fat and then build muscle so that you can just get lean, defined, confident, and build that swimmer's body. Because sure, I don't have anything to hide from you. I've just shown you exactly what we do with our clients. But the difference is, are you going to overthink it or are you going to implement it? Because I'm going to be honest, 99% of people will overthink it. And if you are an overthinker, me included, I would heavily suggest that you click the link below and let us help you do this. Now, if you do or not, I don't care. Like, that's on you. But I would suggest that you do if you actually want to see this work. But if you don't, that's cool too. And you can follow this process because it's not that complicated. It's just made difficult by people telling you that there are other secret ways when there really fucking aren't. Okay? You simply drop your calories a little bit, keep your protein high, notice how I didn't even talk about the gym once because it's that irrelevant. Like, you need to go and lift, obviously, like, that's the implication, but it's not that important despite what social media will have you think. It's almost entirely about your food. Like 90%, right? So drop your calories a little bit, eat high protein, lower your calories if fat loss stalls, but primarily track that through what you see in the mirror, not what you see on the scale. And to make the scale as accurate as possible, you're going to take a weekly average based on daily readings, not sporadic weekly readings. Once you've got down to 10 to 12% body fat, you're then going to flip it and do it in reverse. Increase your calories by 100 until you start to see your weekly average weight rise by a very, very small amount, but consistently. And that indicates to you that you have arrived at the correct calorie and energy balance in order to start building muscle. Then you just keep up with the photos, you keep up with the average weight readings. That's kind of it. Keep training the same throughout the whole process, but you need to start with the reset phase, lose the fat, figure out where you're at with it, and then start building up from there with calories again until you start building the muscle and not gaining back the fat. And guys, that is it. That's fucking it. All right. So if you're tired of the bullshit on social media and you just want clarity and confidence in what you're doing, then just click the button below and or the link below rather, and we can talk it through and build out the plan for you, because it's actually not that fucking hard. Nice. And if you enjoyed it, subscribe and let me know any other content you want to see in the comments below. But I'll